What are the things that can be done to decrease the risk of eloping?
Some of the things that can be done to decrease the risk of an elopement, and remember again our nursing care circle, is of course starting with assessing the risk of an elopement and making sure that a resident is in the right type of facility. And I don't just mean the right type of facility 4 years ago when they got admitted, but the right type of facility at the time of the elopement. Because residents' conditions are changing and assessments and reassessments need to be happening all the time. So once the assessment is done to decrease the risk of elopement, what are the care plan directions that are created, and what are the policies and procedures that the facility has that are called to be put in place? And then third, of course, a plan is no good unless it's put into action. Were these steps actually put into place? Were nursing interventions utilized? And some of the nursing interventions include locating the resident in the proper type of facility. And again, both initially and at the time of the elopement, was the facility right? Locating the resident in a good part of the facility for them, maybe where they might get more nursing supervision, closer to the nurse's station. Locating the resident away from exit doors and stairwells. The use of alarm systems. And with residents that have a tendency to elope or wander, there's a common system called the Wander Guard system, where if a resident even gets within a handful of feet of the door, the alarm goes off and the staff is notified. The use of wheelchair alarms and bed alarms can also notify staff of a resident possibly needing to be redirected. But all of these alarms need to be checked on a regular basis, and facilities need to keep records on their repairs, and that they regularly check the facilities for it to be believable that the alarms were actually in place and working. Fifth way facilities can decrease risk of elopement is with good window safety. So if you have residents with cognitive impairment in your facility, the windows probably should not be allowed to fully open. And in fact, just like if we go to a hotel room, it's unusual that a window opens more than 2 or 3 inches. And imagine if you were going to have a facility filled with cognitively impaired people, you wouldn't want your windows to be opening any more than that either. A sixth way to decrease these risks are good mental stimulation. And by that, I mean facilities that provide good mental stimulation, well, their elders aren't as restless and frustrated and looking for reasons to escape, because candidly, they have things that can occupy their time in the facility. The seventh suggestion for decreasing these risks is sufficient staff at the facility, just purely a sufficient number of staff. And then number 8 is that the staff be trained on dementia care, especially about how to redirect elders who are attempting to wander, and about picking up on what are called sundowners type syndrome, where when it gets dark, the elders become more restless and more risk factors come into play. A ninth thing that could be done to decrease elopement risk is the frequent monitoring of the resident, especially on the occasions where the resident appears restless or is showing other signs or symptoms of possibly wanting to elope. And then lastly, number 10, the use of cameras in facilities. And cameras that are monitored, where the staff is actually keeping an eye on the camera, is a good way to make sure that elopements don't happen for seniors.